All right. Good afternoon and welcome to the Enlisted PME Scheduling Program Updates webinar. Today's webinar is being conducted by the Air Force Enlisted Professional Military Education Scheduling Office. If you wish to download the slides now, select the down arrow button at the bottom of the page and select PDF file. Then you must rename the file and save it to your desktop. Additionally, please use the group chat function to ask questions related to today's webinar. However, we do ask that you hold your questions until the question and answer session at the conclusion of the broadcast. Be advised that chat comments and questions are limited to 256 characters. The EPME scheduling team manages scheduling of the Chief's Leadership Course, Senior Non-Commissioned Officer Academy, and the Non-Commissioned Officer Academy only. Airman Leadership School is managed and scheduled at the wing level. Sister Service Academies are scheduled via the EPME Programs and Policy Office, and open seats are usually announced via an official memorandum to the field for nominations. The purpose of today's webinar is to disseminate some useful information that may provide some clarity on the EPME scheduling program. Today's webinar will take about 20 minutes, and then we will have about 10 minutes for questions and answers. Let's begin. Today's webinar will cover EPME scheduling team mission, EPME Declination Procedures, the Air Force Senior NCOA and Enlisted Sister Service EPME, EPME Distance Learning Course Updates, Tyndall NCO Academy Scheduling Update, how EPME completion is reflected, program contact information, Guard and Reserve EPME POCs, and live question and answer session. Today's webinar will begin with our EPME scheduling team mission. The EPME scheduling team developed a mission statement in order to standardize our vision of the program and have a guided principle for decision making. Our vision illustrates several key concepts of our office and responsibility. Seats are provided to EPME by the Barn Center, and we are responsible for establishing and executing scheduling procedures. Another item to note is we only schedule active duty enlisted airmen. Guard and Reserve airmen are managed by the Guard and Reserve EPME managers. Lastly, we support Air Force instructions and elevate the field's feedback on current and future EPME changes. Flexibility is key. Lately, we have had to have flexibility for declination procedures for EPME. AFI 36-2656 was published on 23 July 2018. Paragraph 4.7.1 states that regular Air Force airmen can decline EPME attendance. The declination statements must be submitted within 5 duty days of notification. Declination renders the airman ineligible for promotion and participation in the higher tenure extension program. The dilemma we face almost immediately is that typically a declination is done on an Air Force Form 964, which updates once placed an AAC Code 9 on the airman's records. This code rendered airmen ineligible for more than just promotion. Headquarters Air Force A1DL is aware of this dilemma and is working on AFI update. In the meantime, on 16 October 2018, A1LD published a Resident Enlisted Professional Military Education Declination Procedures Memorandum outlining corrective procedures for EPME declinations. In it, they state that MPF personnel will not update an airman's record with an AAC Code 9 for resident EPME declinations only. Airmen are required to fill out the Air Force Form 964, which will be filed in arms. Sometimes we may have policy that not everyone understands. This usually occurs when there is no specific verbiage demanding a certain action, but for the purpose of the program has been interpreted into actionable requirements. One such example is employing the Air Force Senior Non-Commissioned Officer Academy scheduling. AFI 36-2656, paragraph 4.6.3 outlines the parameters of the Senior NCO Academy scheduling priorities. Priority 1 and 2 are relatively straightforward. We have to sort our eligible rosters to accommodate the prioritization. Typically, date of rank and total active federal military service date are enough to decide between eligibles. Unlike priority 1s and 2s, there have been some confusion in the field about priority 3 students. Master sergeants must have tested for senior master sergeant at least once and have a WAP score in order to be considered for Air Force Senior NCOA attendance. Each priority is racked and stacked using set parameters. Priority 3's only parameter is a WAP score. Therefore, if an individual does not have a WAP score, they will not be racked and stacked with other eligible airmen. Due to the number of airmen in priority 3 with a WAP score, those without will not have the opportunity to attend Air Force Senior NCOA prior to having WAP score for Senior Master Sergeant. Remember that replacements should be selected based off the next eligible airman, meaning if there are priority 1 airmen on your base, they should be selected as a replacement. There should never be an instance where a base runs completely out of priority 1s, 2s, and 3s that have tested. Another area that we found requires clarification is on enlisted sister service EPME. AFI 36-2656, paragraph 4.8 outlines guidance for sister service EPME. One of the most frequent requests our office receives that we have to turn down is to update sister service EPME that is not eligible for Air Force EPME credit. Paragraph 4.8.4 lists the resident sister service EPME courses that are eligible for Air Force EPME credit. The only courses that meet Air Force compatibility requirements are listed here. If it is not on the list, it will not get updated in MILPIDs under the EPME section, and the airman will not receive EPME in resident credit. The following are sister service courses that are not Air Force compatible and will not receive credit in accordance with AFI 36-2656. Tech Sergeant and below sister service resident EPME courses are not compatible to Air Force EPME courses and do not meet Air Force EPME requirements. Prior sister service NCOs will complete the grade appropriate Air Force EPME. Sister service distance learning EPME courses are not compatible to Air Force distance learning EPME courses and do not meet the Air Force EPME requirements. There are Joint Special Operations University courses that airmen can take and have updated in MILPIDs. However, these courses do not award EPME credit. It will not show under the EPME section. Those courses usually start with JSOU. However, there are distance learning courses that we do update in MILPIDs. Individuals who were still enrolled in and complete distance learning course 14 or 15 should wait 5 to 7 business days after course completion for the Air University system to communicate with MILPIDs. It should be an automatic update. If it does not get updated, airmen should submit the course completion certificate to the local formal training office. The FTO will then send us the certificate for update. Do not submit the certificate through MyPERS. Senior Enlisted Joint Professional Military Education 1 and 2 is updated by the local FTO. Airmen will take their certificate to the FTO for update. Do not submit the certificate to headquarters AFPC EPME, as our office will redirect individuals to their local FTO. Our FTOs are valuable resources and points of contact, and we appreciate the efforts that each FTO makes to help this program run smoothly. We also want to extend a wholehearted thank you to all the bases and FTOs that have patience in working with us and taking care of our airmen. Currently, we have scheduled individuals who would have attended the schoolhouse at Tyndall to attend NCOA at Keesler at Shepherd. We ask that the bases remain flexible as we continue to tend to Tyndall's training backlog. Since the Barnes Center is actively working to ensure all individuals who must attend NCOA have the opportunity to do so, there may be times when seats become available short notice. For example, a class happening in February for Shepherd may get 26 seats added if they find an additional instructor, an additional space to accommodate. If the seats become open within 30 days of the class start date, we will advertise the seats to the bases and solicit for volunteers. Please take advantage of these opportunities, and thank you so much for your continued cooperation. This is a very busy time of year. Many of us are looking into our training requirements and records in preparation to make some progressive career moves. This is why it's important to ensure we understand how EPME is reflected in our records and what it means. We would now like to discuss how EPME completion is reflected in your records. You can find your single unit retrieval format, commonly referred to as a SURF, on the Assignment Management System website by accessing the Personal Information drop-down and clicking on My Career Brief. Your SURF will reflect up to 3 EPME courses under EPME data. There are listed by tier, not necessarily by year completed. For example, this individual completed NCOA Academy in resident, U.S. Air Force Senior NCOA Academy non-resident, and then Joint Senior Non-Commissioned Officer PME course non-resident, in that order. However, the U.S. Air Force Senior NCOA Academy is listed on top. This is because it is a mandatory active duty Air Force requirement, which will always take precedence over optional courses such as Joint Senior Non-Commissioned Officer PME course. Your education data, not your EPME data, will list up to 3 degrees and/or certifications. This information is based on your education data contained in the Military Personnel Data System. It is vital that airmen distinguish between education records and EPME records. A bachelor's degree is reflected on an education record. Senior NCOA in-resident attendance is reflected as EPME data. For airmen with more than 3 degrees and/or certifications, you may choose what education data is displayed on your SURF under education. For example, a Master Sergeant that has 2 Community College of the Air Force degrees, a bachelor's degree, and a master's degree may choose to only display their CCF degree in their current specialty, bachelor's degree, and master's degree on their SURF. Note that this only applies to education data, not EPME data. You cannot pick the order in which EPME data reflects on your SURF. We cannot update the order in which EPME data appears. If we do, MilPIDS reverts it back. Please help us to disseminate this information to the field to increase their understanding of what they should see on their reports. We ask that you please submit your EPME requests and inquiries to our organizational email account. Please pull our organizational email account address directly off the Randolph Air Force Base global address to bypass any email certificate errors. Our email and phone numbers are as shown. Our office only handles active duty EPME. For Guard and Reserve components, please contact the POCs listed here. During today's webinar, we discussed EPME Scheduling Team Mission, EPME Declination Procedures, Air Force Senior NCOA and Enlisted Sister Service EPME, EPME Distance Learning Course Updates, Tyndall NCOA Scheduling Updates, how EPME completion is reflected, program contact information, Guard and Reserve EPME POCs. And coming up next, we're going to have our live question and answer session. So this concludes our webinar. Thank you for your participation, and we welcome your feedback. We will now open up the webinar for 10 minutes for question and answers. Additionally, once approved and validated, the slides from today's webinar and questions and answers will be posted on the Workforce Development SharePoint page. As a reminder, if you wish to download the slides, now select the down arrow button at the bottom of the page and select PDF file. Then you must rename the file and save it to your desktop. Any questions that cannot be answered today and require additional research will be included in the question and answer posted on the Workforce Development SharePoint. We will now open up the webinar for a live question and answer session. To leave the webinar, simply click the red X located at the top right corner of your screen. Thank you again for your participation and have a great Air Force Day.
Okay, thank you so much. Please type your questions in the chat area. Also, if you're on Facebook Live, please type your questions in, and we're going to answer questions on the webinar and Facebook Live, please go ahead and type in your responses.
All right, so this is Sergeant Olson. I'm the NCOIC of EPME Scheduling. I'm here with Staff Sergeant Rivers. He's the EPME Scheduler. And I'm with our Programs and Policy, Master Sergeant Williams, and we're going to answer your questions. So first, we're going to start with Facebook Live, and then we'll move on over to the webinar. Okay, so there's no questions on Facebook. So we're going to go ahead and move over to the webinar. All right, so Ms. Whitmire. So Ms. Whitmire asked, please provide clarification on EPME Declination Promotion Eligibility Code update. Is this a mandatory update? And if so, where is it found? So if a member is declining to go to training, the only thing it's going to affect is their promotion eligibility, which means they'll never be able to promote again. They can still PCS, go TDY, extend until their higher tenure. But once they hit their higher tenure, they can no longer go past that point. So when they do the 964, once the member completes the 964, have them take that documentation over to the promotion section and have their promotion eligibility code updated to a C. That will let us know that they've completed the action and they're no longer eligible for promotion. And that way also they won't get tagged for another class date later on down the road. Okay, looks like we answered the question at the bottom from Miss Bryan. All right, Ms. Whitmire again. So what can you tell us about deferment authority delegation to the wing, to the squadron commander? All right, so it is now authorized for the wing commander to delegate down to the lowest level, to the squadron level. Now, I will say if the squadron level for some reason doesn't have a commander that has G-series orders, it will need to go back up to the next level, such as the group commander. So basically the lowest level with the G-series orders. All right, Mr. McDonald, can a member reserve their declination decision? If so, who is the approval authority? Oh, reverse their declination decision. Sorry. When they do the declination, you can't reverse it. So once they sign that 964 and have their eligibility code updated, I would have to get the exact verbiage, but I'm certain it says in the declination or the 964 that they can't reverse it. Once they sign the documents, it's a done deal.
We had a question on Facebook Live where the slides will be posted, and the slides should be posted on the MyPERS website in the next day or two. For those that are on the webcast right now, if you're on the DCS webcast, you can download the slides. Just follow those instructions I typed in the chat area. You can click on the box, the download box at the bottom, and download them now. But for the members on Facebook, please go to the MyPERS website, and you'll see them posted there in the next day or two.
Okay, so we're going to move back over to Facebook Live. Ian asked, can we have some examples of certs that can be added to the CERF? So your PCM certification, once you make Master Sergeant and have attended Senior NCOA, you can get that certification. There's several more out there. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but they are out there. B. Rad Brown asks, why are members who completed Course 15 being mandated to also attend in resident? It's a good question. So to answer that, although you've done Course 15, you still have to go to in residence in order to fulfill your requirement for PME. Now, there are cases that members were grandfathered when they completed Course 15, and they don't have to attend in residence. But if you were not grandfathered, you still have to go to NCOA or senior NCOA, whatever the case may be.
Can you hear me? I have a question. Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
So Atlanta Auto asks, the site is broken. I have submitted 3 tickets because the site will automatically default me as a second lieutenant when I roll into the NCOA, and says my rank is not compatible with this course. Is there any e-tick unless we fix? So I'm assuming you're a second lieutenant. As of April, the distance learning is no longer required for active duty. It's only for reference only. You cannot enroll a first-time enrollee into course 15 or 14 as of April of last year. But definitely as a second lieutenant, you will not be able to enroll into NCOA because it's an enlisted PME. I wanted to revert back to the declination, the wing commander declination letters. When you do have a declination and you have that letter, make sure you send both the deferment letter and the declination letter in. That way we can cross-reference to make sure that that member is actually allowed to sign off. And we're going to answer one more question from Facebook Live, then we'll move back over to DCS. So Jennifer asks, is course 14 still available for those who need to complete their PMC? No, as I said before, as of last April, you are no longer allowed to enroll into course 15 or 14. Okay. So if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in. So we have a question, what do you mean declination letter? So the question was asked about can the wing commanders delegate down to the squadron commanders to sign EPME deferments? I was just reinstating that if that is the case, you need to send in the deferment letter stating why the member is being deferred with the signatures, and also the delegation letter stating that that person that's signing that deferment letter is authorized to sign it from the wing commander. Sorry, yes, delegation letter. Ms. Gates, we're still working on the PSD guide to be updated. I can't give you a good timeline on it, but as soon as it gets updated, we will let the field know. Mr. McDonald, after the tomorrow when we get back into work, I can send you what we have on the wing delegation letters. I'll send you everything we have. We can hopefully clear up any answers. Will that work? All right, we're going to take a couple more questions from Facebook Live. So if you have any questions, please type them in the comment box. So as stated again, if you cannot enroll into course 15 or 14 anymore, it won't allow you. It's just for reference only. All right, so Ms. Gates asks again, in order to get promoted to Senior Master Sergeant, the member must have attended the in-resident course for NCOA or Senior NCOA. So yes, for NCOA, they had to have attended in resident or have been grandfathered into NCOA, but they had to have had credit for NCOA. All right, so all right, stand by. So we got a rather lengthy question. DK Ski on Facebook, if you could send us an email or give us a phone call tomorrow, we can definitely sit down and talk with you about your question. We'd have to do some research on what's going on, but we'll definitely want to help you out and answer that question for you. But just give us a call tomorrow. We can help you out. All right, so can you please speak about the scheduling procedures for NCOA? So this will be the last question, because this is going to be a pretty lengthy answer, but this will be the last question for the DCS. So the scheduling procedure, we have a document that we use. We screen all of our members for NCOA. So we go through all the ineligibility codes, all the different pass codes that are ineligible to attend, any report no later than dates for PCSs, cannot be within 90 or 120 days of class grad date. Once all that is filtered out, we go through and rack and stack based on date of rank. Our priority ones are our master selects. Our priority 1As are master selects. Our priority 1Bs are our tech sergeants. And then our priority 2s are our tech selects. And we no longer accept staff sergeants without line numbers to attend NCOA. Once we get all that at the beginning of every month, or within 120 days of class start date, we will do our initial scheduling based on the amount of seats that are still open for those certain classes. Then we fill the classes up, and then that's when the RIPs will be generated to send to the members. Does that answer your question, Ms. Poole? Okay, once again, thank you everybody for coming. And if you, like I said, if you have any more questions, just give us a call or shoot us an email. We'll be glad to answer your questions. Have a good day.